So somebody asked me yesterday, actually, it was Martin who's here, how long I've been practicing, and I had to calculate it. So I am old. I'll be 78 this year, and I've been started practicing when I was 26. So if you do the math, that means I've been practicing 52 years, and it just seems like yesterday. But what I want to do is just say a little bit about practice and how a few of the important characteristics or some of the important aspects of our Zen practice. And I'll start by mentioning something that the Buddha said when he was enlightened, which was over 2,500 years ago in India. And he said that everybody, without exception, everybody has the wisdom and virtue of the Buddha. It means that everybody has the innate characteristics of the Buddha. Buddha literally means the awakened one, the one who awakened from delusion to enlightenment. Okay, everybody, without exception, has that. But people don't realize it because of attachments and deluded thoughts. So I want to talk a little bit about attachments and deluded thoughts and how we can work with those in our practice. And then, so attachments, there's all kinds of attachments. The obvious one is attachment to material things. And what the Buddha is saying is that these attachments are one of the things that prevent us from realizing our Buddha nature, our enlightened, awakened nature. It's attachments. So the obvious attachments are attachments to material things. And, as kids, we always want more toys. And as adults, we want more adult toys. So in order to be happy, and usually we get something and it makes us happy for a little while, but then we find that this doesn't sustain it, so then we need something else. And so it's a constant cycle. And there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, we work very hard to maintain this place and have it look very presentable and very attractive, and for people to come and practice with us. But to be attached to it, to think that that's going to add deep meaning to your life, you're going to be chasing that like a dog chases its tail. But that's only one thing that we are attached to, and of course we're attached to other things as well. We're attached to our ideas. We're attached to our opinions. If you look around the world, how many conflicts are going on right now because people are attached to their ideas and particularly, the religious ideas of what they think is the correct way to view the world. And if you don't believe it, then you're an infidel and you deserve to be punished or destroyed. So attachment to ideas is another cause of suffering. Attachments to relationships. So we think that relationships define us, but that without this relationship that we're less than we are. Again, it's nothing against ideas or nothing against relationships, but how can you have a healthy relationship where you're not attached to it, but you allow the relationship to grow and expand, where you're not clinging to it? So that's part of what practice. As you continue to practice, hopefully we evolve so that we can see how to have healthy relationships, and look at our ideas and see what, not be attached to them. Every time I open my mouth, I ask myself, is that true? It's not necessarily. And then what else are we attached to? If I went around the room, you could probably add 1,000 more things. Mm-hmm. But we're also attached to our life. Right? We know our life is going to end. And that's one of the things that in our practice that we really learn, and we chanted this morning in the Heart Sutra, far beyond all fear. And one of the things that really keeps us from realizing the full extent of our life is because we're afraid that it's going to end. Okay, that's another thing. So that's a brief survey of attachments. Is like I said, each one of you probably, if you thought about it, come up with a dozen more. What about deluded thoughts? We have another word for deluded thoughts. We call it dichotomous thoughts or dualistic thoughts. And those are the thoughts where we create a self and another, different from us. And that's a cause of a lot of the conflict, is because we demonize other people who are different from us. But those are just thoughts. Those are, if you look and see how attached we are to our thoughts, because again, we think that they're real, they're true. That you're different than I am. But so we're different, but we're still the same, because one of the teachings of the Buddha is that we're all one body. We're not, whatever I do affects everybody, because we're all related very intimately. The Buddhist technical term is codependent origination. We all arise dependently upon one another. We're not independent. So a formula that the third Zen patriarch in China said, which is one of my favorite quotes, is don't seek for the truth, just cease to cherish your opinions. So what does that mean? When we come to practice, and if you want, and share why you're here, and I'll preface it by saying there's no wrong reason why you're here. Whatever brought you here is the reason that brought you here, and that's great. But we're looking for, a lot of people are looking for something, looking for enlightenment, looking for the truth or the meaning or something like that. And he says, don't go looking for something outside yourself. First of all, there isn't anything outside yourself, because you are everything. And second, he said, cease to cherish your opinions. And the analogy I always use for that, it's like the sun is always shining, the truth is always shining, but our opinions and our judgments and our projections and our ideas are like the storm clouds that obscure the sun, from shining on us. So how do we cease to cherish our opinions? I mean, if you look at it, almost every milli-microsecond, a new opinion arises, a new judgment. I mean, it's almost instantaneously. You walk through King Soopers, and an opinion is going to constantly be arising, if not about the products on the shelf or how they're displaying it, but about the other shoppers, and how they're walking, how they're dressed, how they're talking. I mean, it's just constant. It's like a commentator watching a sporting event, on TV, constantly telling you what's going on. So, in our practice, to let go of it, we emphasize paying attention to the breathing. It doesn't require any thinking to do that. You just feel the breath in your body and keep bringing your attention back to it. When a thought comes up, you don't have to complete that thought. Just bring your attention back to your breathing. And if you do that over and over again, you'll find that you can carry that forward from your cushion in the zendo, where you practice, or wherever you practice in your home, and notice it when you're in the grocery store, when you're at work, when you're in a relationship with somebody. Notice how you're constantly commentating on everything that's going on, instead of just being present with it, being open. So, you have to be relentless, not stern or not harsh, but just keep bringing your attention back to your breathing and letting go, bringing the attention back over and over and over again. I just told somebody this morning, it's like a toddler, you just kind of gently push it back, to the attention to the breath, or a puppy, that wants to wander out, just keep coming back over and over again. So, and it requires practice to do that, because we are so habituated, to jump up in our head instead of saying present in the body and just feeling the presence of the breath and feeling whatever is going on in the body, that we spend our whole life developing these habits. And so don't expect it to change overnight. It's going to take time in order to undo some of these habitual ways we have of behaving. So I think that's all that I'm going to say for right now, and I'm going to pass the stick.